Of course, you got to work hard. You got to be willing to work hard to continue to save on your expenses. You got to continue to work hard to increase your income. You got to continue to work hard to do all these things. But I'm also talking about here putting your money to work, because now as you create this margin that I've been talking about this whole video, where now you're earning more money that you're spending, you want to do something with this extra cash. You want to put some cash aside for your savings. You want to have somewhere between 3 to 6 months to 12 months worth of expenses put aside in a savings account that you don't touch unless you run into an emergency. And by emergency, I mean your kid breaks their arm, your car breaks down, your AC stops working, an actual emergency, not that Best Buy is having a sale, but a real emergency. So you put this cash aside, and the amount of cash you put aside is going to depend on your risk tolerance. If you don't really have any financial responsibilities, if you don't mind taking on more risks, then maybe you only have a few months of cash put aside in your emergency account. But if you have more financial responsibilities, you don't like taking on a lot of risk, then you should put aside more cash for your emergencies. Once you start doing that, then you also want to think about now, how do you actually put your money to work to make you more money? This is what I've been hinting at this whole video. This is what wealthy people do. They use their cash, their extra money, to buy investments, to buy assets that make them money. Now, there's two different ways that you can go about doing this. One way is to pay down some of your debt. The other way is to actually go out and buy assets. If you have anything that's a high interest debt, something like credit card debt, something like a payday loan, something like a hard money lender, something like a buy now, pay later thing that you purchased but didn't pay off in time, so now you're paying 18 to 25% APR on this loan. If you have any type of high interest debt, before you think about investing your money anywhere else, you got to pay this down as fast as possible, because these debts are skinning you alive financially. Here's why this is so important. If you have $6,000 right now and you put this into an investment account that's paying you, say, 20% a year, and you do this for 45 years, well, at the end of the 45 years, your $6,000 investment, assuming you never put another penny into this investment, you just put $6,000 into here, you let it grow by 20% a year for 45 years, your $6,000 is going to grow to over $21 million. Now you might think, just breathe. That's great and all, but where am I supposed to get a 20% return on my money? And that's the reality. Credit card company is charging you 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25% a year in interest. And so if your credit card company is earning this money from you, that means your credit card company is getting rich from you because you have this high interest rate debt. So this is where you want to be the one not making your credit card company rich, not making all these companies rich. You want to pay down this high interest debt as fast as possible. So you take the margin that I was just talking about, this extra cash, you use it to pay down this debt as fast as possible, because this money is making your banker rich, is making your credit card company rich, and you want to put this money to work to make you rich, but you shouldn't do that until you pay down all these high interest debts. Now, if you have lower interest rate debts, things like a car payment, things like a mortgage, now you have a little bit more flexibility on whether you want to invest this money into something like the stock market or use this cash to pay down the debt. And the questions that you want to ask yourself are, what is your risk tolerance? What are your goals? And what type of lifestyle that you want to live? Because if you say, I want to live a big lifestyle and I don't mind taking on a lot of risk and I want to do something really big, I want to have a lot of wealth, then you want to be taking on more risk. And more risk in this instance would be taking your cash, putting it to work in something like the stock market. And it's riskier because the stock market can go down. The goal is to see your investment go up faster than how much money you're paying on your mortgage. However, there's a chance that your stock market investment can go down. But you're taking that risk because you want the upside. You're willing to take that risk for the potential to see that growth in your money in the next number of years. However, if you say, I just want to live financially free, I just want to never have to worry about money again, I want to just be able to live my life and not have to worry about my payments, then you want to consider paying down your debts as fast as possible, because now if you can pay out your home, if you can pay out your car and never have to worry about another payment again, well, now you're financially free. And you don't got to worry about that. And then you can worry about taking your extra cash and putting it to work for your investments. Now, I think every single person needs to have their own investments, because you want to create an income stream. You want to have multiple streams of income. You want to have assets that pay you. But when you're initially starting to put your money to work, you want to know where the bulk of your cash should go. And this is where you have to make the decision of paying down your debt versus investing your money, and they both can have a place, but you got to understand these questions and know what type of lifestyle, what type of risk you want to take, and what type of goals you have financially, because that's going to help dictate where you put your money, whether it's investing your money or paying down your debt. If you're wondering where you can learn how to invest your money into assets, which are investments, things like stocks and real estate and cryptocurrency, you can check out Market Insiders. It's an investing education app that I created where every week you get access to live coaching sessions on stock market investing, real estate investing, and cryptocurrency investing. So if you want to try out Market Insiders for free, you have access to a free 10-day trial where you can get all the previous coaching sessions and attend the live coaching sessions. That way you can try everything out and not have to pay a penny until you realize if you love it or if you don't love it. If you don't love it, then you don't have to continue. It doesn't cost you a penny. If you love it, well, then you can continue. So if you want to try out Market Insiders for free, I'll put the link to how you can do it down in the description below. Fourth, you have to constantly be willing to learn. If you remember the 3 things that I talked about where nothing can stop you from becoming successful, you have to have the right mindset, you have to have the right education, and you have to have the right work ethic. Well, I already talked about the work ethic. I already talked about the mindset. This is the first thing that I talked about. But now let's talk about the actual education, because education is the backbone for your success. But the question is, where do you get that education? Because the majority of us assume that our education ends at school. I went to school, I got a degree, and I got my education. However, if you really want to become successful, your real education just begins with school. And this is where now you have to have the real self education, the life education, the financial education, which can take you to real wealth. And that means, 1, you can start watching YouTube videos. I have a ton of videos on my channel, which is why if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. But then you can start learning from other places. You can start reading books. You can start reading blogs. Maybe you start purchasing classes. Maybe you hire a consultant or a coach, depending on where you are and what it is that you're working on. Now you can start actually learning more about the things that you want to do, and you have to be willing to learn. And the best education that you can get is through experience. It's called that real life education, that tuition. I had to go through so many failures in entrepreneurship in order to learn how to build a business. I went from failure to failure to failure until I could figure out how to actually build a business. Same thing with my investments. I made a video on this YouTube channel where I went through my worst real estate deal ever. I walked you through everything that happened. It was a horrible nightmare property where everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. I lost a ton of money on that deal. It's the only deal to date that I've ever lost money on, but that was my real life tuition. It sucked when it happened. I didn't enjoy it when it happened, but now looking back, I learned so many things. And that one real estate deal that it taught me years of real estate investing in just one deal, and that set me up to be able to do much bigger deals, much more profitable deals later on, because I learned how to make the mistakes quickly. It's kind of funny because I think a lot of people that go through this educational process realize this, and what you see is the people that talk the loudest, that feel like they know everything, are typically the people that know the least. And as you start to learn more, that's when you realize that you really don't know anything. So the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, when in reality, you're becoming smarter, you're becoming more educated, but you just feel like you don't know anything because you've now started to invest in your own education and you realize how uneducated you actually are. This is why you need to be investing in your own education. And if you're not, start listening to audiobooks or read books. I don't like reading. English is my second language. I'm not a very good reader. I'm a very slow reader. It's hard for me to sit down and actually read. But once I discovered audiobooks, I loved it. I discovered this during the pandemic, where when gyms were closed, I started going on walks. And I started going on these really long walks where I needed something to do. I didn't really like listening to music. I wanted to do something more productive. And this is where I found out about Audible. They're not a sponsor. I just listened to Audible books and I started listening to audiobooks there. And now I'm listening to audiobooks almost every single day on my morning walks. And so this is another way for you to start learning, to start listening to audiobooks or read books, because you can tap into the minds of some of the most successful people and see what they did. Because if you live in this bubble where you don't have successful people around you, you don't know investors around you, you don't know entrepreneurs, well, what you can do is start tapping into the minds of other successful people by reading their books. That's how I got started, because no one in my family is an investor. I didn't know any real estate investors. I wasn't exposed to financial education. I didn't know what the word entrepreneurship was, but I started reading books, and that started teaching me about things that I had never even heard of. I never knew what investing was. I didn't realize what passive income was until I started reading books about it. And that changed my mindset about things, which changed the way that I acted. You have to change your mindset, which changes your thoughts, which will then change your action. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the shorter clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And if you're interested in learning more about how to invest your money in the stock market, our team put together an amazing guide that will walk you through how to invest your money in the stock market, what the stock market is, different stock market strategies, and how to build wealth in the stock market. This guide is completely free when you sign up for our daily newsletter, so if you want to read this guide, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.